This is 9 News at Noon.
Hey folks, good Monday to you. I'm Jaron Jordan. Lauren Westbrook has the day off. Developing news this afternoon, Jefferson Parish is now the first parish in the state to issue a same-sex marriage license. The license was issued this morning to two women from the West Bank. On Friday, despite the ruling handed down from the Supreme Court, the State Clerk of Courts Association advised parishes not to issue any licenses until a 25-day rehearing period expires. Word today from the clerk's office here in East Baton Rouge is that they are still waiting for that period to run out. Glenn Ford, the man who was recently exonerated after spending nearly 30 years on death row at Angola, died today from lung cancer. Ford was freed last year after new evidence revealed he was not the killer in the 1983 murder of a Shreveport jeweler. He was diagnosed with lung cancer shortly after his release. That diagnosis became the center of a federal lawsuit claiming a medical test revealed a cancer marker years before Ford was released from death row. An attorney for former LSU defensive coordinator John Chavis says LSU owes the coach hundreds of thousands of dollars, but at the same time LSU says it's owed money from the coach. John Chavis's attorney argued part of the matter this morning in court. At issue, dueling lawsuits trying to decide basically the same matter. One is in Texas, where Chavis now works for LSU rival Texas A&M, and the other is here. LSU contends Chavis owes the university because he broke his contract, but Chavis's attorney says LSU changed that contract without his approval. US 190 at LA 77 is closed in both directions this afternoon after a fiery crash in Livonia. Troopers say a tanker caught fire after a produce truck and scrap truck collided. No one was hurt in the crash, but drivers are asked to avoid the area until it's all cleared up. You can use LA 411 or LA 81 as alternate routes. Our friends to the east may be feeling a slight jolt this morning, but it wasn't caused by a cup of coffee. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, Madison County, Mississippi experienced a 3.2 magnitude earthquake just before 8:30 this morning. The epicenter was about 19 miles north of Jackson. Turns out this is the third small quake in the area in the past couple of months. So far, no injuries or major damage has been reported with any of them. Happening now, the Council on Aging is sponsoring this year's Beat the Heat drive. From now on through Sunday, you can donate any new air conditioning units or cooling fans to help seniors cool off this summer. Donations are being accepted at the Council on Aging's Florida Boulevard location or any St. George fire station. Let's get a check-in now with meteorologist Steve Caparata to see how hot it's going to be this week. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Jaron. Yeah, it's been pretty warm through the morning, but also rain's got off to a pretty early start today. Even had some showers in the overnight hours. Showers and storms have increased through the morning. Here's the latest right now. We got some storms in western Livingston Parish extending from around Watson into parts of Denham Springs and Walker. Those are moving off to the east. Some rains in East Feliciana, and now a pretty big storm in Point Coupee Parish, not too far from, say, Bachelor and Ennis. That's moving off to the east. Some of that headed in towards St. Francisville. There's the line of storms moving into Livingston Parish. Good bit of lightning right now right over Denham Springs. Some gusty winds also possible with those storms. Nothing severe, though, at the moment. And a pretty good scattering of rains, especially north of I-12 right now from northern Tangipahoa Parish. Some rain in St. Helena. The Felicianas, again, pretty hefty storm that's headed. It looks like it's going to move north of St. Francisville, the heaviest of it at least, but maybe up around Wakefield, and then some rains into southwest Mississippi as well. Keep an umbrella handy today. That is the bottom line. With some rain here in the city, the capital city, down to 75 at the airport, but 87 Gonzales right now. Most spots in the upper 80s outside of the rainfall. And temperatures will rebound where we have seen the rain. Probably will get back into the mid to upper 80s. Scattered showers and storms, though, continue through the afternoon. So keep the rain gear handy. We'll let you know if this wet weather pattern that we've seen as of late is going to continue through the week. Coming up in just a few, Jaron.
All right, thanks, Steve. The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear appeals from BP and Anadarko Petroleum over fines from the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil disaster. This morning, justices let a lower court ruling stand that said the owners of the Macondo well cannot avoid federal fines by blaming another company's failed equipment. Both BP and Anadarko argued the oil did not leak from the well itself, but from a broken underwater pipe owned by Transocean. The Deepwater oil rig exploded in April 2010, killing 11 workers and triggering the worst offshore spill in U.S. history. The Supreme Court has decided, though, that states can continue to use a controversial drug in lethal injection executions. Craig Boswell has more details from Washington.
The Supreme Court says it is not cruel and unusual punishment to use the sedative midazolam to carry out lethal injection executions. The drug was used in
All right, sorry we have technical difficulties with that, but a spokesperson for Oklahoma's Department of Corrections says that now that the Supreme Court has ruled in its favor, it will move ahead with 3 previously scheduled executions. A case challenging affirmative action will head back to the high courts next term. The Supreme Court announced today that it would rehear arguments in the case concerning a public university that takes race into consideration as a factor for admissions. This will be the second time the Supreme Court hears the challenge. The first time they decided to send the case back to a lower court. The second convicted killer, who escaped from a maximum security prison in northern New York earlier this month, is hospitalized in serious conditions with 2 bullet wounds in Albany today. A state trooper shot and captured him Sunday after spotting him near the Canadian border. Kenneth Craig reports from Dannemora, New York, where residents are happy that this whole ordeal is over.
Outside the Clinton Correctional Facility in northern New York, a sign thanks the community for its support now that the manhunt for 2 escapees is over. The second prisoner, David Sweat, was captured and taken to the hospital after being shot twice in the torso. Authorities say New York State Police Sergeant Jay Cook was patrolling alone near the Canadian border Sunday when he saw Sweat walking along the road. Sweat took off running when Cook spotted him.
He realized that Sweat was going to make it to a tree line and possibly could have disappeared, and he fired 2 shots.
Sweat's partner, Richard Matt, was shot and killed by police on Friday. The 2 convicted killers broke out of prison June 6th.
People who live near the maximum security prison say they are looking forward to life getting back to normal. Tell me your feeling this morning. What is this like for you?
It's relief. It's the first good night's sleep I've had.
Late Sunday night, grateful residents showed up at the prison to cheer all the law enforcement officials who worked on the manhunt.
There's a lot of men that are going home with sore feet tonight that are going to relax, and everybody gets to enjoy the 4th of July next weekend and not look over their shoulder.
Authorities are waiting to question Sweat when his condition improves. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Dannemora, New York.
The prison guard accused of giving the inmates tools packed in frozen meat is expected in court this afternoon. Gene Palmer is charged with promoting prison contraband and tampering with physical evidence. His attorney has said that he will plead not guilty. Well, as cash in Greece runs out, tempers are running high. This comes after the government shut down banks in a last-ditch effort to avoid a financial meltdown. Greece will lose access to more than $8 billion in loans when their international rescue plan expires tomorrow. European creditors have offered to bail out Greece and allow it to keep using the European currency, but only if the government slashes spending and raises taxes. Greeks are expected to vote on the rescue plan this weekend, but until then, people are only allowed to take out about $65 a day from an ATM. Meanwhile, Greece's new economic turmoil has moved beyond its borders and all the way to Wall Street, where U.S. stocks dropped in early trading and markets across Europe sank even deeper. British Prime Minister David Cameron is promising a, quote, full spectrum response to ISIS extremism. That's after as many as 30 tourists from his country were killed in an attack on a beach in Tunisia late last week. New images have surfaced showing the gunman with his weapon during the attack. Cell phone video shows that after the gunman ran out of targets on the beach, he entered the hotel grounds to look for more victims. Police say they're looking for accomplices that may have helped the gunman get to the crime scene and provided him with the automatic weapon used in the attack. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack. Well, there's no turning back for a solar-powered plane on its second attempt to make a record-breaking flight across the Pacific Ocean. Solar Impulse left Japan's Nagoya airfield on Sunday. Weather conditions forced the plane to make an unscheduled landing in Japan earlier this month. Solar Impulse says the pilot has to continue the 5-day and 5-night flight to Hawaii despite any future weather changes. Well, coming up, if your kids love spending time outside during the summer, there are some things to remember to keep them safe from sunburn. And later,
can you spot the key difference with these 2 melons? I'm Jonathan Vigliotti in London. I'll tell you coming up.